Welcome back to my channel Bloom with Belief.
Now, let's start with our continue with the previous videos that last time we have studied till the cryophylic or snow algae. That is, it lives on the snow and ice. That is the Chlamydomonas nivalis, which is an objective question that it is for the red snow. Now, different kind of snow color is seen because the different kind of algae let's first of all discuss with a broad topic that is colored snow that is caused by the different kinds of algae. So first one I have already discussed, that is the red snow. Little bit more described is done, that is it is caused by the extensive growth of green algae. This is the green algae, but the pigment it produces that gives it this color, that is Chlamydomonas nivalis, and due to the red carotenoid pigment, and the pigment that is present in this algae is hematochrome, that is present in the thick walls of their hypnospores, that is a resting spore. And because of this red carotenoid pigment, it keeps in red color in the snow, and so it is called as red snow. Next one is the green snow, that is caused by the same genus Chlamydomonas, but the species is different, that is Allostonensis, which imparts a greenish coloration to the snow surface. And third one is the black snow. Each is the important question for objective, that which kind of which algae gives black snow, red snow, or green snow. Any may be asked. In case of black snow, it is caused by the dark pigmented algae, that is the Scotiella nivalis and Rhaphidonemma, that gives a blackish appearance to the snow. And next one is the cryptophytic algae, that is it is growing in the shaded or the hidden habitats like example caves and crevices. Example stegococcus, this is the cryptophytic algae. Another one, previously I had to discuss you about the cryophytic cryophylic algae, that is snow algae, and the last one is the uh, second last one is the cryptophytic. Crypto means it is growing in the shaded or the hidden habitats. This is the example with the stichococcus. And very interesting and very important question is another, that is the parasitic algae. You have been commonly familiar with this term. It is living on or within the host, and it as it is parasitic, it harms the one by drawing the nutrients from them. And the common example is the Cephaloros virusens, which causes the red rust of tea. It is like this. This is the lips, and this is the rust, and this is the algae Cephaloros virusens. It seems like it is fungi in simple eyes observation, but it is not caused by fungi. It is because of the algae Cephaloros virusens, which is a parasitic algae that causes the red rust of tea. Another is the symbiotic algae, that is living mutually with others organisms benefits. Like example is nostoc in Anthoceras. It is also an example of endophytic algae. It can be also present in the colloidal roots as an example of endophytic algae previously taught. And another the point important is the chromosome number in case of algae. According to the recent data, the lowest chromosome number that is found in the algae is the exam found in Oidogonium cardiacum, that is with the two chromosomes in it, and the highest number of chromosomes is present in the Vaucheria sessilis, that is 592 chromosomes. As we know that the father of algology or phycology is F.E. Fritsch, who has a great contribution by classifying the algae into 11 types. It is on the basis of types of pigments, nature of reserve food material, and mode of reproduction. So here, talking about the classes of algae, there are 11 classes types by F.E. Fritsch on the basis of type of pigments, nature of reserved food matter present in it, and the mode of reproduction that it follows. Now let's discuss about the few types. First, start with the chlorophyceae, that is also commonly called as the green algae. In case of green algae, they are mostly freshwater. Some are marine and terrestrial and advanced. So the remembering point is that it is the advanced type of algae. Which is the advanced type of algae? Then your answer would be chlorophyceae or green algae as given in the option. Advanced, that is, it is the ancestor of the higher plants. And next one is the thallus organization. That is unicellular or chlamydomonas. Green algae example are chlamydomonas, volvox, spirogyra, and alba. And I'm talking about that which kind of thallus organization present in the particular green algae in the same point. By remembering that this is the chlamydomonas with the bifurcated structure, this is unicellular. In case of volvox, it is formed like a in case it is like in case of colony, it forms a colony, so it is a colonial type of algae. And talking about the filamentous spirogyra, this is the filamentous spirogyra, very common example. And alva, that is like this kind of structure, which is already I have discussed that it is on previous video, that it is also called as sea lettuce, which is a commonly asked objective question for you all. Which kind of algae is also known as sea lettuce? Which is the algae that is also known as sea lettuce? Like that, it is asked in your questions. And talking about the cell structure present in it, cell structure is eukaryotic and photosynthetic, made up of cellulose cell wall, cellulosic cell wall, as I have already told you that. In case of green algae, their specific pigment is B, and as we know that chlorophyll A and carotene is universal to all, so it is also present in green algae. There is the presence of pyrenoid, that is starch is stored in the periphery. And in case of pigments, it has chlorophyll A, B, and carotenoids. Again, for clearance, reserve food matter starch that is stored in the pyrenoids. And talking about the reproduction, the common mode of reproduction that is vegetative is through the fragmentation. Fragmentation may be because of the injury, and likewise another is the asexual form of reproduction, that is the production of zoospores. And in case of sexual reproduction, it may be because of isogamy, anisogamy, or oogamy, depending upon different examples that is inside the green algae. And next one we are discussing is the another type of algae, that is brown algae, that is also known as Phaeophyceae. And the pigments present in the brown algae is, the specific pigment is C, and fucoxanthin, that gives it a brownish color, so it is called brown algae. And chlorophyll A, as it's universal, present in all kinds of algae. In case of storage product, I have already told you that in green algae there is starch as a storage or product, that is inside the pyrenoid periphery. And in the case of brown algae, it has the storage material as the laminarine and mannitol. For remembrance, an example of brown algae is laminaria, and its storage product is laminarine. Both is related, and you can just remember by this, it is all inside the brown algae. And another is the cell wall is made up of cellulose, but in case of brown algae there is an addition, that is there is the presence of alginates. Okay. And next one, in case of habitat, I have told you that mostly fresh water is present in case of green algae, but in case of brown algae they are mostly marine, and especially they prefer colder waters. And in examples, the common example we are familiar with is fucus, sargassum, laminaria, and macrocystis. And I have already mentioned that Macrocystis pyrifera is the largest algae. It's interesting fact that it is gives hundreds of species for the habitat. It forms as an habitat for hundreds of species, and it grows 2 feet per day. And talking about its length is up to 60 meter, that is 200 feet. So this is the commonly known as giant kale. This is a brown algae, which is the largest algae. And most complex algae features kelps, commonly called a giant kelp. Already mentioned, and body is divided, uh, often differentiated. Body is thallus, but it is differentiated not into root, into stem and leaves. But in case of brown algae, as it is like a complex algae and largest algae are present in this class, its body is differentiated into the structures like blade, stipe, and holdfast. This is the figure of commonly mucus. The holdfast, this has as an root, like forming and has for the support and attached, helps for the attachment to the substratum. And next one is the stipe, and another is the holdfast, and this is the blade where there is air bladders. This is the frond, and this is for the floating of the algae. It is important in the coastal ecosystem and alginate production. As it is, you can remember that in case of brown algae, there is a presence of alginate in the cell wall, so it has very important in the coastal ecosystem and alginate production. And now talking about another algae, that is Rhodophyceae. As I have already mentioned that if there is an objective question that which of the following is the advanced type of algae, then the ancestral algae, that is green algae, will be your answer. And if you are asked that which of the following is the primitive algae, then your answer will be Rhodophyceae, commonly called as the red algae. Got it? Now let's move to the pigments. I'm just repeating this, red algae with specific pigment in it as chlorophyll D. Chlorophyll A is the universal pigment present in all, and the phycobiliproteins, that is especially the phycoerythrin, that gives the red color for it. And next one is the storage product, that is the fluoridin starch is the storage product. If I just make you repeat that, green algae with B is the main chlorophyll pigment, specific chlorophyll pigment with starch as a reserve food material in it. And in case of brown algae, it's called with the chlorophyll C. Okay, very simple, chlorophyll C, and it's starch like it has the reserve food material as the laminarin, mannitol, and likewise fucoxanthin is another pigment. And in case of talking about the red algae, D is the main specific pigments found in the chlorophyll case. Chlorophyll D is pigment. And talking about its storage product, in case of lavender mantle, it has fluoridin starch. You are very familiar with this term as well. Just for memorizing, we are just making it as a revision class today for everything. Now let's discuss about the cell wall. Like in case of another was the cellulose presence. In case of green algae, in case of brown algae, there was addition of cellulose with the alginate. So it was for the alginate production. Likewise for the red algae, here it is has galactons, like galactons, which are like agar is formed is from the red algae, like a keratin and xenan are also related with this kind of red algae, and it is mostly marine, especially warm tropical seas. So again, you have to remember that in case of green algae, mostly they are of fresh water. Okay, in case of brown and red algae, both are the marine loving, marine found in mostly marine habitat. But there is a little bit remembering thing that in case of brown algae, it prefers cold water. And in case of red algae, it is especially prefers warm tropical seas. Okay, and for example, a common interesting remembering example is Polysiphonia and Porphyra. This Porphyra has a very important economic importance. That is, it is used to make sushi's outer covering that is made of algae. That algae paper is made up of Porphyra in many of the cases. And the Gracilaria and Gladium or Zelidium's pronunciation is different with different accent, and these two things are for what? They are for production of agar. So any of these may be in the option. So these four examples are of the red algae. Rhodophyceae, that is, they are the source of agar and carrageenan, which is used in the food and biotech industries. So now let's move to our next topic. Now we are discussing the topic that is the reproduction in the algae. So first of all, let's discuss from the vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction with commonly formed through the fragmentation. That is a common example Spirogyra that break into filaments which each grows into a new plant, and this fragmentation may be because of the injury in the filament of the Spirogyra or any filamentous algae. Second one is the process of cell division. For example, Chlamydomonas, that is unicellular algae, divide mitotically to form the daughter cells, and each daughter cell forms as a new organism. Next one is the akinete. In case of the unfavorable condition, like for example in the algae Anabena, the thick walled dormant cells develop into new filaments. And next one is the hormones. This is also a very common example and objective question where which of the following are for do the reproduction through the formation of hormones, and commonly your answer will be blue-green algae, which is also known as cyanobacteria. And this is the small piece of trichome that has the capable of motility. That is the hormone. And next, very interesting, another objective question is the following has the bubble formation, the algae, and the option you have an answer that is Cara. With Cara, another thing that you have to remember is the cell wall is made up of calcium carbonate. Another question. And now let's discuss about the asexual reproduction that is present in the algae. First one is from the zoospores. This is the motile spores that is presence of flagella, and these zoospores asexual reproduction takes place during the favorable condition. But what if there is an unfavorable condition? Then there will be two forms of asexual reproduction. One is the aplanospores. This is the for this is formed when there is the planospores where there is thin walled non-motile spores. There's thin walled non-motile spores and they are produced during the unfavorable condition. But if there is the extreme unfavorable condition, and in this case there will be the thick walled non-motile hypnospore. There will be thick walled non-motile hypnospore. Thick walled, like there is thin wall, but in case of hypnospore the spores has thick wall like this, and these thick wall non-motile spores are formed during the extreme conditions or extreme unfavorable conditions. Extreme unfavorable conditions. And now talking about the reproduction here, let's move to the now sexual reproduction in algae. Sexual reproduction in algae are basically from three types. First of all, let's see the figure here. It will make you easy to understand. See this, the gametes here. One, one is the male and another is the female gamete. And in case of isogamy, you can see that there is the fusion of morphologically similar but physiologically different gametes. Like this is morphologically similar but physiologically different. Got it? This is the isogamy. Another is there is the fusion of morphologically also different, physiologically also different. So in case of this figure, you can see that it is morphologically same but physiologically different. Here both physiologically and morphologically it is different. One is big and one is smaller. Likewise, in morphology there is one is big and one is small. Likewise, in case of O gamete type, the fusion of two completely dimorphic gametes takes place, where one is motile and the other is non-motile. In case of O gamete, this is the female, this is non-motile as there is lack of flagella, and this is the male one which is motile because there is presence of flagella. So these three types of sexual reproduction is found in the algae. Now finally, let's discuss about the economic importance of algae.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and share.